Good morning to our group of 8 today and to all those out that will be viewing us later on this afternoon. My name is Jan van Bastelaar. I've been a member or a citizen of Port Elgin and Saugeen Shores for many years, and it gives me great pleasure to talk to you today about housing and the needs within our community. First of all, a couple years ago in 2020, Mike Myatt had a vision. He asked a group of us to please come to the library and could we work on some sort of housing document or task force that was approved by council. We all sat there. There was very few of us at the time, but that started at the first of the year. I don't remember the exact day because things moved quite rapidly. But by the end of the year, we had a housing task force put together with some over 30, 40 recommendations, all by dedicated people that really wanted to help in this area. So the purpose of our mission, and June alluded to that at the very beginning through the church, but also we want to get out to the community that we are going to make people aware, accept, and think about housing for all within our community. This is so needed, and it's something we need to all be aware of. And that's going to be our mission. You're going to see our faces many times, hopefully, this year, talking about this topic. Because you need to think who are our essential workers, who are our essential people, who are our citizens in our town, and what do they need to live in this town. And that is our purpose. So I'm calling on Mike Myatt now, who's the Vice Deputy Mayor of Saugeen Shores. A task that he has had in his mind that he needed this brought forward, and with the support of council and staff, has brought us a long ways. And now he will talk to us about housing for all. Mike?
Thank you, John. I just want to thank you, John, and for your contribution over the last couple of years as we worked on the Attainable Housing Task Force, and it's an exciting initiative, and we simply have to make things happen in our community in terms of finding suitable housing for all in Saugeen Shores. And June, thanks for organizing today, and really appreciate it. And John, I know you're sitting on this new committee too with 2 United Churches in Southampton, Port Elgin, and it's going to be a strong voice for housing in our community. You know, our current situation in Saugeen Shores is, I view as dire. You take a look at the Bruce County housing wait list. There's a wait list of about 600 families looking for housing in Bruce County. 300 of that 600 is right here in Saugeen Shores that cannot find attainable affordable housing. When you take a look at a vacancy rate of 0.5% for apartment and rental units in a community, it's that's not a big number, and rental rates have skyrocketed, and people simply are finding it difficult to find a place to rent here in Saugeen Shores. In my view, too many residents have moved outside of this community to Hanover, to Walkerton, to find suitable, affordable housing. And I met with a good number of couples, during the Attainable Housing Task Force process, and they said to me, Mike, when we've moved to Hanover, we moved to Walkerton, we found a 2-bedroom apartment for $1,200, and I said, well, could you not find that here? Well, $1,600, $1,700, $1,800, we could find a unit, and we had to move out because we needed that $300, $400 to live per month. It just became non-reachable. So we have a problem here with our community. We have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to fix it. You consider a household family with $40,000 per year in total household income, and they're paying $1,800 a month, $2,000 a month for rent. It doesn't leave a lot of money at the end of the month, so I feel for those people. I came from a family of 7, and I told the story a little bit earlier. My mom and dad were blue collar workers. My mom worked in cleaning motel rooms, and in off hours she waited on tables at local restaurants. My dad was a custodian and worked night shift at Legion to make ends meet. But the reason I tell that story is because I remember clearly as a youth, in 5, 6, 7 years of age, the neighbors, residents reached out. They helped. They helped us find housing. We were able to find the accommodation that we required to live. And so, you know, there are needs like that. There are tons of families that I met during the process with the Attainable Housing Task Force out there that are hurting dearly. We don't see it a lot sometimes, but you know, when I hear of stories of people living in behind Walmart on cots, and the number of people that are being put up in motel rooms in the wintertime because they haven't got housing here in the community, they can't afford to live. That's a scary situation, and it's an unfortunate situation. We need to fix that. The community support, in my view, is vital. Simply put, Saugeen Shores needs more rental accommodation. When you take a look at that 0.5 of 1%, there's not a lot of rental units, and hence prices skyrocket. You know, it wasn't that many years ago the average household price in Saugeen Shores was about $425,000 for a new build. Today, the average household cost for a new build in Saugeen Shores is $725,000, and that's happened in 3 years. 3 to 4 years, housing's gone up from $425,000 to $725,000 for a new build. That's not reachable for a lot of people. There are people in our community who will never be able to afford a new home. But we need to give them the basic needs, the basic living needs and living accommodation, and that's with suitable rents that they can live in. This is not a stereotype, but I ask members of the community and members of the congregation to think about this for a minute. And again, it's not about stereotyping. This is about meeting the needs of our community and having the services that we require, we'd like to see in our community be provided. Think about it. Think about the next time you drive through Tim Hortons or Wendy's or Harvey's or Swiss Chalet. Think about that takeout that you've ordered through a local restaurant. Who's serving you? It's those people at $15, $16, $17 an hour that can only find accommodation in $1,800 for a 2-bedroom apartment. Think about that number. It doesn't leave a lot of money at the end of the month for people to live on. So we really do need to open our minds, open our hearts, and when we hear about rental accommodation being considered in our community, it might be near your backyard. It just might be. But I think that we all are in this together. The provincial government, the federal government, Bruce County, the town of Saugeen Shores Council, our residents. We need to all work on the solution to bring attainable housing to our residents. As I mentioned earlier, the end of the month, some of these people in our community, and I saw it firsthand with the Attainable Housing Task Force, and broke my heart in a lot of ways to see people and how they're hurting. And we just need to open up our hearts and minds. And again, when you hear about that new rental accommodation unit coming close to your neighborhood, please consider that these people need a place to live. And it may be close to where you live, but that's okay in my view. There's one family I spoke to. Well, we spoke to a lot of families, and I'm going to ask George here to load up a video that one family talked to us about their situation. A local business person considering moving out of town now because they may be removed from their rental unit because housing is just their place may be sold and the prices here are too high. So, George, I'm going to ask you to bring up the testimonial. It's pretty enlightening.
Hi, my name is Karina Fleming. I am a 35-year-old woman that owns a pretty successful business in Saugeen Shores. I am currently living in a 3-bedroom apartment with my 2 boys. I would love to be able to purchase a starter home for us because we live in a loft and we don't have a yard or anything like that, but the prices in Saugeen Shores are insane. And if you own a small business or you're self-employed, it's pretty much impossible to get a loan for the type of housing that is around here. I don't foresee myself ever really being able to afford it unless something drastically changes in my financial situation or the housing market. Yeah, that's pretty much my story. The apartment that we're in now is great, but my landlord is trying to sell the building, and if she does sell the building, we will definitely be without housing, and I am not sure that I could even afford a rental space for the prices that are in the area. So thanks very much for listening to my story, and that's pretty much all I have to say. Thanks.
And that, my friends, it's just one of many stories in the community that I heard during that 1 year we spent with the Attainable Housing Task Force. And John alluded to the 30 to 40 recommendations, and there is help on the way. I really am optimistic. We've been dealing with some land developers locally that are saying that they're planning on bringing in a fair number of apartment units into our community. But it's one thing to build apartment units. It's another thing to provide those rental units that are in the $800, $1,000, $1,200 rate for the 1, 2, 3 bedroom, not the $1,800, $2,000, $2,200, which is being seen now. So we're working on it. There's a lot happening in behind the scenes. The land developers are listening. We have a meeting with Bruce County housing staff coming up this week to talk about how we might be able to partner with Bruce County to take a look at some new housing for our community. So we are working hard. But I just wanted to leave you with the final message, and I'm repeating myself here a little bit. Please open your minds, open your hearts to when you hear about that next development that's being planned in our community for housing, 2, 3, 4, 5-story apartment unit. There are housing needs in our community. We have very few units available. We need more rental units, and hopefully in the process we'll help drive those prices down and keep those precious residents that are thinking about maybe leaving because of high rental rates. Let's keep them here right in Saugeen Shores. Thank you for listening, and you're going to hear lots about housing in the next little while.
Thank you, Mike. And I just want to follow up with Mike. The council of the day, with Mike's help, has certainly done a lot for housing within our community so far to date. They've changed some of the bylaws. They've changed some of the regulations within our town to help this. And they've been doing a really good job. But they can't do it all on their own. And it's up to our community to help this council and to get involved. That's why I'm calling this back to our purpose, was to be aware, accept, and think about housing. We need to be aware of housing as a community. We need to be aware of people coming into town, new people, professionals, people that have good jobs, cannot find a place to live. They will go to somewhere else. And these are young people with families, a component of our town that we need. We have essential workers in our community, as Mike alluded. Who are essential workers in our community? There are people that make our deliveries, help our services, help professionals administer their services. These are essential folks within our community that are not making the top dollars, but require housing. And you got to remember, these people are needed. Don't forget about our seniors. Seniors in town, some of them want to downsize. If they don't have a place to downsize, let's think if they did have a place to downsize, it'd be a win-win for everybody. They could get into a smaller community, into a smaller accommodation, and we would have more accommodation for younger families into the bigger homes. We need to think about seniors, what we can do for them. And family members who want to stay. What about family members, our sons and daughters, grandsons, granddaughters, that would like to work in town, stay in town? We heard a story where a family had to lose their son because they had to move the Hanover to afford housing. That's an awful thing to go through. We need, also we found there's a wide spectrum, and there's a huge segment in our community that need food, shelter, and a place for support. These are people that are unfortunate sometimes, they not a choosing of their own, but they need assistance. We need to be aware of this assistance need, and we need to support it because these people are happy with what they get, and they would love to be accepted by the community. And I've had experience of this through the food bank, and I was on the LIN, had experience with mental health. There's issues within our community. We have to address all these issues. So we need to be aware of it. And the next thing, we need to be accepting of this situation. We need to support the community. We need to realize this has to happen in our backyard. It must. Keep our sons and daughters in town. People will get good jobs. Seniors want to downsize and stay in town. We need all types of housing, not single residence housing. All within town, close to all our amenities. So accept that this is necessary. And then the last thing I want to highlight, think of what you can do. What can we all do? You can see this coming. Sorry. I mean, a lot of people need help. And I really do think that as a community, we need to work with this. So please help everyone. It's essential. So in closing, send in your suggestion, ask the questions, get to know your community. Hit Mike and I up in the community if you want. We'll talk about it. John will help. He's part of our Reverend John, part of our community. We have a great committee. You're going to be seeing a lot of us working on this. Thank you very much.